I'll order up some body bags.
Our boy sure wants us to believe his story.
Well, he picked the right day to pull this shit.
What do you mean?
Happy Friday the 13th.
You're listening to the Fun with Horror podcast with your hosts, Scotty and Andrew.
Hello, everybody. This is Scotty.
Hi, Scotty. I'm Stanley.
And welcome to episode number 158 of Fun with Horror. This is the most wholesome horror movie podcast in the entire world. Usually it's the podcast in which two long-distance best friends keep in touch by giving each other horror movies to watch and discuss. But, as all of our listeners know, it's Friday the 13th. And every Friday the 13th, we talk about a different Friday the 13th movie. And for almost all of those, I have been joined by our lovely, beautiful friend Stanley from the Gory Gays podcast. And he talks about these movies with me, and he's back.
I am
Stanley.
back. Hey, man. It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How is everything?
You know, everything is good. Everything is sweaty and everything is good.
You moved recently.
I did move. I did move, and I'm living the RV life. I moved into an RV, and this is the first time I've actually said it out loud. So,
wow.
I mean, not out loud, but like out loud, like to put it out into like the podcast.
Oh, you haven't even said it on yours?
No, I've like, if I have said it out loud-ish, I've either like bleeped it out or kind of just like, you know, tethered off into something else. So congratulations, You're the one.
Thank you.
Like it's this huge deal, like a huge secret I'm keeping. But yeah, that's the news.
And as far as I know, the Gory Gays took a little bit of a break, but now you've been doing some solo episodes just to get back into the swing of things. So tell me about that.
It's been fun. So we had stopped for a while, and we didn't mean to take like such a long hiatus, but then we decided that we were going to move, and then Alex had taken a little bit longer to do that than we expected, and we haven't hit our 50th episode on the Gory Gays yet, so I figured I would, in order to get there, I would start doing audio commentaries on movies that I just wouldn't force Alex to watch. Until we get there. So the little sub-series is called 49 and a half, and I've done 3 of them so far. Yeah, that's it. Just until he's ready to record our 50th episode, which I think we're going to do next week at one point, but I've been saying that for like 3 months. So
what's the last
so
movie
eventually we're going to do it,
for?
and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The last movie was Pumpkinhead 2 Blood Wings.
That's right, and I still haven't seen it.
You are missing out, at least on a good commentary. The commentary was a lot of fun. Dare I say it might be better than the movie, but it's a lot of fun. Pumpkinhead is a special film. Pumpkinhead 2, not so much. So, I don't know.
Well, there you
Watch
go.
it. Watch it and let me know what you think.
And real quick, we'd like to say thank you to Chuddle the Pod, because last Friday the 13th, which was what, in December, I think it was?
It was a while ago.
You had life happen, and at the last minute, you weren't able to do it, but they jumped in and did Friday the 13th, Part 5.
They did.
But now we're back. We're back.
Yeah.
We're almost to your favorite, if I remember correctly.
Yes, we're almost to 7. And I was thinking about this because I actually listened back to your episode with Chuddle, and I was kind of wondering which one, like I re-rank them every time I watch them, and I've watched Part 6 now a couple of times to prepare for this episode. Yeah. And I kind of think that Part 7 has fallen down on my list. I think that it's fallen down, and we'll talk about it, but yeah, I'm excited to talk about Part 7 when the time does come, though.
All right, well, let's get into Part 6 then.
Oh gosh.
You in show business, kid? You sure know how to make an entrance.
Look, you gotta do something. Jason's alive. He killed my friend, now he's coming for me.
You better cool out, boy. You already almost got your head blown off.
Will you listen, damn it?
Don't piss me off, Junior, or I will repaint this office with your brains.
Look, Jason is alive. We dug up his body. I was gonna cremate him.
Hold it, whoa. What's your name, son?
Well, Tommy Jarvis, but look, we've got to do something. He's even more powerful now.
Aren't you the kid whose mother and friends were killed by that maniac?
Yeah. Jason murdered him.
You've been in some psychiatric clinic ever since, haven't you?
What the hell's going on with the weather?
Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, was released August 1st, 1986.
There it is.
It was directed by Tom McLoughlin. It was written by Tom McLoughlin, and it stars Tom Mathews as Tommy, Jennifer Cooke as Megan, David Kagen as Sheriff Garris, Carrie Noonan as Paula, Renee Jones as Sissy, Tom Fridley as Court, and of course, C.J. Graham as Jason. Jason himself. Before we get into spoilers, Stanley, I'm going to ask you what you thought of this movie without spoiling it for anybody. What did you think of Friday the 13th, Part 6?
You know, it was a good return to form, I think. And I'm not saying that Part 5 was like a bad movie, but I missed the presence of like the Jason Voorhees character because he was missing in Part 5, you know? And I think that it was like loud and it was just gory and it was just everything that was missing from Part 5 personally for me. It was like the MTV version of Friday the 13th. You know, like I think it was just what I needed to like reboot the franchise. It was like the meta Friday. And it really amped me up. It put me in a good mood.
Awesome.
Yeah.
As for me, I've been having an interesting thought as we've been doing these movies. I have never been a huge fan of the Friday the 13th series. I love watching them. They're stupid, they're terrible, they're fun.
Sure.
But I don't hold them, in the past, I haven't held them in as high a regard as other people might. But doing this series with you and with Scotty and Andrew, it's given me a newer appreciation for these movies.
Right.
It's the fact that I watched the movie once for entertainment, then I watch it again to take notes, and then if there's a commentary, I watch the commentary. And man, I tell you, this one especially, I really, really love this one.
Yeah.
Maybe it is the return of Jason, what some people consider the beginning of zombie Jason. I'll tell you another thing it is, and I can say this before we get into spoilers. You can tell that Tom McLoughlin is a classic film buff. Like, he loves movies.
Agree 100%.
And as ridiculous as this movie still is, just like the other ones, you can see his inspirations. You can see in the way he edits the movie or had it edited by his editor, you can just see all these inspirations following him into this movie, and it's fantastic. So, yeah, I really, really like this movie, and it's going to be interesting because I've always said that 8 is my favorite because it's the most ridiculous. And then I also really like Jason X. But rewatching these movies like this slowly instead of like watching them as one big marathon, I'm starting to have different appreciations for different ones, you know? Like watching Part 5, the last Friday the 13th with Chuddle, I gained a bigger appreciation for that movie.
I can see what you mean by all this, because I think the last time that I really, really like power marathoned all these, it kind of drains the stupid fun energy out of all of it. Like, and all the charm, I guess. Like, I don't know. There's a difference between like the Halloween films and the Nightmare films and the Scream films. Like, I think that the Friday films are just like, they're so redundant for the most part, to where if you watch them kind of like that, to where it there's a draining factor to it. So that's what I really like about this one too, is that there's like a new sense of recharge to it. And I really think that, like you said, I think that the director really did the homework in the sense of like, he knew what the fans wanted, in the sense of like the zombie Jason stuff is like super spectacular. Like I love the whole reanimation stuff and how like the opening is one of my favorite things in the world. Like out of any of the movies in this franchise, I think the opening works the best out of any of these films. And there's so much to really, really like in this movie. I really love it when like the director is also responsible for the screenplay, because I think that adds like a certain kind of spice to it. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree with you, like on everything that you just said.
I'm gonna mention something else, and you made me think of it with all that. The other thing is that, listening to these commentaries, I've told you in the past, I think especially with part 4, I think it was, where you could hear that the director was kind of a sleazy kind of guy in the commentaries. This movie, he wasn't. And you can see that in the movie. It's not a sleazy Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah, and I think that this guy like actually really cared about the movie that he was making. Like these other guys, like that specifically probably, the director of part 5, I don't think they really care about the movie they're making. They're just kind of cashing a paycheck and they just want to, show a bunch of TNA. I think that this movie was just like handled a lot differently, and you can kind of tell that it was executed in just a much different way. And there's a sheer difference between the Fridays that came before this one and then the Fridays that do come after this, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, Stanley, I had a chance to ask Andrew what he thought of Friday the 13th Part 6.
Okay.
Here's what he said. Andrew.
Yes. Hi, Scotty.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Scotty.
So, as you know, you don't really have time to do the bonus episodes sometimes. And Stanley and I are going to be recording an episode for Friday the 13th, Part 6.
Yes.
Jason Lives.
Yes.
So, I wanted to make sure that you're still a part of the episode, so I'm going to ask you now, buddy. What did you think of Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives? And where does it live in the pantheon of Friday the 13th movies for you?
So this is a weird one for me. I love the entire series. Friday the 13th is one of those series that, as ridiculous as it is, it's so much fun. And the more ridiculous and more cheesy and dumb, for that matter, it is, I have even more fun. I love that series. However, 6 is the one I would say I haven't seen the most of probably all of them. I know I know I've seen it, but I know there's quite a few infamous scenes, like the paintball scene, which is a gem. The beginning, of course, where he turns to the camera is so much fun. I love that moment. And then, of course, the final battle in the lake with the fire and the chain and that's a cool battle. That's a really fun final moment where we get Jason at with his kryptonite, like in the lake, this place where he quote unquote died and maybe was born again, and to have him kind of go back down in this epic battle with his sort of arch nemesis, I would call Tommy his arch nemesis, is fun. Like, it's a fun ending. That's a fun movie. But again, one that it's strangely enough, I think I've seen of all of them, besides like the first 2. Yeah, and 3, I guess. But I would say 5 is one I've seen more than probably the other ones. But 6 it's fun.
So does this mean that you don't like 6 as much as the other ones? Or
No, I not at all. I just would say that one, for whatever reason, I go to something else.
So how do you feel about 6?
I love it. It's so fun. And as I talk about it, I'm like, oh man, that's such a good movie. Why have I not watched it as many times? Because it's so fun. But I mean, having not seen it as many times, I would still rank it pretty high in the series just because it has some really memorable moments, like I mentioned. But I love that. I like I said, I love the whole series, man. It's just, they're so ridiculous and fun. I love them.
Awesome. Well, thank you, buddy.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So there you go.
Perfect.
Well, that brings us to our spoiler warning. If you don't want anything at all spoiled for you for Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, then you can pause the podcast right now and go watch the movie And if it's your first time watching it, oh my God, I'm excited for you. However, if you don't care about spoilers, you want to keep going, keep listening. And now we're going to real quickly, because I don't think there's much here. We have our new little segment here inspired by the website doesthedogdie.com. And we talk about if any animals meet an unfortunate end in the movie we're talking about. And oh my God.
Of which.
nice timing.
He watched the movie with me, by the way. He loved it.
Thank you, Sheriff. That was amazing.
I'm so sorry, guys.
Never apologize for that beautiful little creature, ever.
You're so sweet. Oh my
so,
gosh.
as Sheriff was telling us, Stanley, are there any animals in this movie?
I don't remember seeing many, if any, animals. No.
So, does the dog die?
No. And I want to give the director some kudos to that, because you never really need to see any animals die. You just
Never.
don't. You don't.
Never.
Thank you, Tom.
Funny enough, I think this is maybe the first movie since we started doing this trigger warning thing in which there is no animal, because we just did the Thing series, and there's dogs in those, and yeah.
I want to, at the beginning of the movie, they do have a German Shepherd eating roadkill, but I don't know if that kind of stuff counts. It doesn't, right? Like, it's like the armadillo at the beginning of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Like, does that kind of stuff count? Okay.
We can count it. Like, so
right.
A dog doesn't die, but a dog is eating roadkill at the beginning of the movie.
Sure.
So,
If that bothers you guys,
then
come on.
Maybe skip ahead a few seconds when the movie starts.
It's very brief. It's like very, very quick.
But that said, Stanley, it is time for our 3-minute recap. We talked earlier, and you were totally down to make this left up to chance.
Yeah, and you guys, Scotty has never offered this before. Scotty's never been like, hey, like, you could do it, or I could do it, or we could just actually let the dice do it. It's always been up to the dice. And I told Scotty, let's leave it up to the dice. Awesome. Let's just do it.
Well, I've got my lucky 20-sided virtual die on my phone, and I'm hitting roll over and over again. And when you tell me to stop, I'm going to stop it. And if it's odd, you get to do the 3-minute recap. And if it's even, I get to do it. So go whenever you want.
Stop.
It is a number 5. So Stanley,
oh God, that's me. Okay,
you get to do it. And you know what? Here's the beautiful thing. I talked to every single actor who has ever played Jason. Of all of them, I'll be honest, none of them returned my calls except for C.J. Graham.
Oh, God. Of all of them. What did he say?
And CJ said that if we have to do a 3-minute recap for part 6, he hopes that Stanley, he mentioned you by name.
I love him.
He loves Stanley Jacobus. And are you okay with last names?
Oh, love it. Google me. I have songs out on Apple Music.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so yeah, he loves Stanley Jacobus. You're his favorite pop singer.
Yay.
And he wants you to do the 3-minute recap. So, my friend, whenever you are ready, you go ahead and start.
Oh, I love CJ. All right, I'm ready.
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of play time.
Okay, so we got Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. We start off with Tommy Jarvis, who was previously played by some unknown, and then Corey Feldman. So he is alive still, and he's escaped the mental institution. He has a cohort with him. They're driving to go make sure that Jason is still buried, because he's been buried since one of the other movies. They get to the cemetery, and they dig up Jason's grave because he's conveniently buried next to Pamela Voorhees. Why or how, who knows? They unbury him, and they open up his coffin, and his corpse is there, and for some reason or another, Tommy takes one of the metal rods from the cemetery gates and just starts stabbing Jason's corpse, and then a storm comes, and then the lightning reanimates Jason's corpse, and then Frankenstein Jason comes up from the ground, and then, the Jason murder spree begins. And then Tommy has to go to what was Crystal Lake, but is now called, I think it's Forest Green or I think it's Forest Green. He has to go back to this Forest Green to warn everybody that Jason is back from the grave to do some killing. And, Jason, he goes around killing everybody. And there's some camp counselors. The sheriff has a daughter named Megan. And Megan has 3 or 4 close friends who are with her to reopen Camp Crystal Lake, which is now Camp Forest Green. Yeah, there's a lot of... Tommy warning everybody. Tommy gets arrested like maybe 3 or 4 times and escapes jail 3 or 4 times to go continue warning everybody. I'm doing great at this. And let's see. He teams up with Megan to stop Jason. There's a lot of kids in this one. There's a lot of kids. The kids actually play a big part in this. They show up to stay the weekend at the camp. And let's see. Tommy gets arrested again at one point. And then the sheriff forbids Megan and Tommy from hanging out together, but they end up hanging out more. And then Tommy and Megan decide to meet up at the lake so they can drag Jason into the lake with chains. And there's... Oh, fuck me. This is going into flames. I'm sorry. This is a wholesome podcast. And all during all of this, Jason just kills everybody. It's a Friday the 13th movie, you guys. Jason just kills all the camp counselors in really bloody ways. And there's an RV death that we'll talk about that's really wonderful. And no dogs die. That's all I got.
There you go. That's it.
I had no notes or nothing. I'm sorry.
And that's how you're supposed to do it.
I know, and I was thinking I don't know. I'm sorry. I failed myself.
Let's give you a quick chance. Let's help you finish it though. How does the movie end?
I mean, Jason gets chained down into the lake by Tommy, and yep. Tommy has like his Alice moment, like he gets dragged down into the lake by Jason, and then Megan tries to save him, and Megan ends up saving Tommy, and Jason is stuck at the bottom of the lake, and we think that Jason is dead, but really Jason lives because it's Friday the 13th Part 6, and that's the name of the movie.
Beautiful.
Don't edit any of that. You let everyone know.
You came in just under 3 minutes.
It was actually 1 minute and 1 second.
Well, either way, CJ Graham is proud of you.
He's a good Jason, by the way.
He's a great Jason.
I think he's a good Jason. That's me distracting everybody.
Let's get into that. So let's get into this. Here's the thing. I don't know how many quibbles I really have with this movie. Do you? Do you have any problems with this movie?
So the one quibble I did have, I think, and it's just like, it's forgivable. It's just like, I understand in these movies you have to have a body count. And I know that with every film, the body count gets bigger. And you just want, so yes. You guys can't see Scotty, but he's doing the whole yes thing. He agrees with me. So I don't like the whole paintball scene. I think the whole paintball scene could have been... I like the result. I loved the triple decapitation. I think it could have been put anywhere else. I think that it could have happened with any other character. I thought it was just like time filler type stuff. I think that there was some stuff that could have been just completely removed. But again, the movie's only an hour and 25 minutes. But some of these movies feel a little bit longer than they are because of... just what they are. You've got Jason walking around just hiding in bushes, and it's just like the same redundant material over and over again. With that being said, also the character of Megan, I did have some problems with just behavioral things. I like her. I like the actress, but there was just some times where I just didn't feel like she was scared enough. I kind of felt like she was like a little too excited to be in danger. And that was just actor choices. And I understand. It's forgivable because I like her. She's very charismatic. I think that she's beautiful, and I think that she had really good chemistry with everybody. I think that a lot of the actors here were probably much better than a lot of the other actors in the franchise. I just thought that she was a little too excited to be in danger when she was in danger. If that makes any sense. That's all.
We're going to come back to Megan, because I want to talk about Megan. But going back to what you said, what's interesting is I like the paintball stuff.
Okay.
But the reason I was pointing in the air is because you made me think of my one quibble. Like, I knew you would do this. I knew that you would start talking and I'd think of stuff that I didn't care for.
It's a Gemini thing.
There it is. There it is, both of us. Funny enough, you said that the paintball feels like filler. It wasn't. But there is filler in the movie, and that is a scene that I actually made a note of. I said, why is this couple having a picnic at night in the middle of the woods, and then he's proposing to her, and what is happening here? And that's exactly what happened. They had finished the movie. The studio said, we need more kills. We need the movie to be a little bit longer. So they added that scene. So you have them, you have the caretaker who we weren't going to see any more of, but the caretaker comes in and he dies. Jason kills him, right? Wait, do I even have that written? I don't even have it written down because it was that lame.
Well, I think they're great kills, though. Like, those are, but we didn't need those characters at all. Like,
Were they great kills?
I mean, they're redundant kills. Like, the impalement with the machete going through two people at the same time is, like, so overdone throughout the series. So, like, it's a good kill, sure, but, like, we've seen it, like, so many times. Yeah. But, like, that's what I agree with you in the sense of, like, that we don't need some of that stuff. I would have liked more of the sheriff Megan stuff. Like, I really liked the father-daughter stuff that was going on. I liked those two characters a lot.
I liked some of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I honestly feel like they were like, let's have a couple out having a picnic in the woods. They were like, well, but we have to put it in right here and it's nighttime. And they're like, well, then it's nighttime. Have them have a picnic at night, you know? And it just,
nobody
to me,
would do that.
Did not make sense. However, a paintball, people from work having a little paintball thing in the middle of the woods, that makes sense to me.
One of them was named Stanley.
Oh, yes, he was. Stan.
Or maybe Stan,
Larry.
yeah.
Yeah, Stan, Larry, and Katie. And then there was another guy too, but I wrote him down. Hang on. Stan, Larry, Bert, Katie, and Roy. There was 5 of them.
I did like how they all got it. Like how everybody was like dismembered and all that. And I loved like the face in the tree. Like I loved all that stuff. But I just didn't feel like it fit into whatever was happening. Like I liked everything that was happening. I just didn't feel like it fit appropriately. Not that anything really does or necessarily it doesn't necessarily have to, I guess, but it was just a little too silly, I suppose, for my taste.
I like the silliness though. So
okay.
I mean, that's it.
It does have a high camp factor. I think that this one, out of a lot of them, I mean, Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, like more so, I suppose, but this one did have like a little bit more of an amped camp factor.
And that was on purpose.
Oh, sure.
Tom McLoughlin said that he wanted people to have fun. He wanted it to be scary, but he also just wanted people to have a really good time in the theater. So
good. And I hope people did.
I mean, obviously the resurrection of Jason is maybe the first part of that fun, but the first really big sign that this guy is going to be campy is after Jason kills, what's his name? Alan? Yeah, Alan. After Jason kills Alan and Tommy runs off, like Jason puts on the mask, there's a close-up of his eye, and then you see Jason walking through the eyeball like 007, and it's love
insane.
That.
Oh, is that from what that is 007?
Every single movie. You need to watch some James Bond movies.
I never would have known. I was watching it with Alex the other day, and I was like, oh my God, this is great. Like, just like laughing because I have no idea what it is. Like, both of us just eating it up. Okay, now I know.
Please watch some James Bond movies.
I will have to.
Yeah, maybe one of the Pierce Brosnan ones.
We're like, oh, Jason Lives. It's a concert. Like, like comparing it to like a David Bowie special.
But everything else was great, and I love the different nods to different horror legends and stuff like that. Like, obviously, Jason being Frankenstein.
Yeah, I like that too.
I love that he named the sheriff after Mick Garris.
I knew his name was Garris, but I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. That's fun.
Yeah. I wondered
because they worked together, didn't they? Like on like Freddy's Nightmares and like the Friday the 13th TV series and all that stuff in the mid 80s. Okay, yeah.
He just said, I mean, Mick Garris was a friend of Tom McLoughlin.
I can see that.
So
okay.
McLoughlin wanted to, give him a little. I also love, like, as a David Bowie fan who named both of his cats after David Bowie, Bowie and Ziggy. I love that. I think it's the producer. What's his name?
Of Friday the 13th?
Frank Mancuso. Yes.
Oh.
Frank Mancuso is a huge David Bowie fan. So
okay.
The working title of this movie, so that people couldn't find the set and stuff, was Aladdin Sane.
Oh, wild.
And then when the girls are in the cabin at one point, the album Aladdin Sane by David Bowie is sitting there, the vinyl record of it.
That's nuts. I didn't know. They're playing the song Teenage Frankenstein in the RV scene. That
is Alice Cooper.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
He has a song in both franchises. He has one in this franchise, and he has one in A Nightmare on Elm Street as well, and Freddy's Dead.
I have to go back. I need to watch those movies. I wish they'd come out in 4K or
I have the first one in 4K.
something.
I have the first one in 4K. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's really, really pretty.
You know what? You're gorgeous.
You are as well. Happy Gay Pride.
Oh, happy Pride.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Gay Pride, I want to talk about Court.
Oh, can we? This is what
and
I was
only
actually
because
waiting
when I
for.
when I was texting you, you were like, "Oh, I have some things to say about Court."
Wow, it's mostly just like how bad of a driver he is. Like, I am astonished at how bad of a driver he is, and what a peculiar character. Like, I always am curious at like how people read a script. Like, they're reading it and they're like, okay, I'm gonna say it like this, and that was my whole experience with Court. like why? What on earth made this actor decide to say these lines like this? Like, when he's talking to Nikki, when he's like, "Are you taking a dump back there? Should I come take a peek?" Like, what the hell is going on here? But I love the RV scene, man. The RV scene is just the best. What a great scene.
Yeah, and I don't know if I call it a quibble or not, but I mean, the thing that gets me about the RV scene is when we see them, they're having sex, she's on top of him, and the RV
is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let me teach you about heterosexual sex.
I suppose.
But she's doing it to the beat of the music, and I'm just like, I've just never, I don't think anybody would ever have sex like that. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It's just so campy. It's very campy sex.
I really like that I don't know if I like it, but how she was like, you have to wait until the end of the song, and it's a 10-minute song. And and this isn't really about either of them, but I want to know if in real life, if you were to unplug a cord like that, if it would erupt into flames. Do you think that something like that would actually happen? When he unplugs the RV, Jason, he unplugs the RV very, very fast from outside, and it bursts, like there's a big electrical burst, and there's a big flame that comes out of it.
Well, he doesn't take the plug out, he breaks the cord. So
is that what he does? Okay.
Yeah, because when they go outside to check, she holds up the cord, or he does, I forget who, and they're like,
I think I missed it.
What the hell happened? Did a bear attack this or something?
I think I missed that whole part. I was just so entranced with the fact that it was like on fire. I was like, what the hell? I live in an RV now, so all I was thinking about the entire time was like, wait, look at their bathroom.
Wow.
Like their floor is their shower floor. Like, that's not like our bathroom. Like,
yours is probably bigger, I'm guessing, right?
Oh, it's like a little house. It's amazing.
Theirs was more of a motorhome,
Oh yeah, no, those.
Yours
poor
is like an actual live-in RV and stuff. But
1986.
I'll tell you one thing that's super impressive about that scene. Everything that happened when Court starts driving the RV was in a stationary set. They had people rocking the sides of the RV,
Never would have known.
Exactly. The way it's, especially her acting in that moment, the way she throws herself back, it really looks like somebody pressed the gas on this RV and she got flung backwards. She did her own stunts and she was amazing.
I was looking her up today because I was like, oh, this Darcy DeMoss, like, she's gorgeous.
Yes.
I want to know what she looks like today. She follows me on Instagram. Had no idea. I've never even I have no idea why I even bothered to look her up. I don't follow her. I do now, but she follows me on Instagram.
It's
amazing.
Your personal Instagram, or is it your Stanny Boy reviews?
It's my Stantastica account, and I was like, this is insane. And so of course I started following her immediately, and then from every account that I have now. But I could not get over the fact that her hair stayed consistent in every single shot.
Oh, yeah.
Her hairstylist did really, really great. And when they were going back and forth, every time she fell backwards and she's doing somersaults and stuff, was she a Penthouse playmate? What was she? She had to have been a Playboy model or something. What a beauty. That woman was beautiful.
I forget if McLoughlin mentioned that she was a playmate or anything like that. I don't remember him saying that. I do remember him saying that he found her to be a very beautiful girl.
Well, this isn't a typical Friday commentary because all the other directors would have been like, oh, yeah, she was definitely a Penthouse playmate.
Yeah, we were trying to get up trying to get the camera up the top of her shirt. No, he was, the most sleazy thing he would say is that, I found her really sexy, and
Good
I was
for him.
That's a very 80s description.
Good for him.
I guess we still use the word sexy, don't we?
We do. I think we do. He has a plot already pre-picked out at Hollywood Forever in one of the mausoleums.
He really does?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's in the same mausoleum that Rudolph Valentino and Mickey Rourke is installed in. Installed? What is it called? I think it's interred. Installed.
By the way, everybody, that is Stanley's dog, Sheriff, and we're just so happy to have him guesting on the episode with us.
He won't move. He refuses to leave my side, and then when I try to move him, he does this weird, snarling growl that sounds really vicious, but it's not. He's the sweetest, most ridiculous creature on the face of the planet. But he's decided to co-host as well, and I'm grateful and sorry and embarrassed, and also...
We're both grateful.
Happy. So here we are.
You know what? So let's go to Megan real quick, because that's the other thing, is that even growing up as a teenager watching these movies, I don't remember really being attracted to the girls in these movies or being oh, that girl is hot, But as I watch these movies for the podcast, I'm some of these actresses were really absolutely gorgeous. Jennifer Cooke, who played Megan, is one of those. At the moment she appears on screen, I was kind of taken with her. With her, it's not just, for me, her looks, but it is her character. I love how straightforward Megan is in this movie. She isn't the typical screamy girl from all the other Friday the 13th movies. She's actually kind of a very strong-willed girl, and I really appreciated that. And I love the fact that when she's with Tommy, she takes control.
Yeah.
During the chases, when Tommy's in the passenger seat, even though it's a boy fantasy thing, she shoves him down into her lap. And usually the guy is doing that to the girl in an 80s movie. In this movie, she's doing it to the guy, and he's the one stuck looking up at her crotch.
Oh, yeah. And what did she say? She says something like, oh, that's where I want you, or that's what I like, or something. It's
something like that.
Yeah, it's an empowering moment for the final girl, I guess.
And now I don't think McLoughlin mentioned it, but there is the line where she's taking a curve and she goes,
oh,
she
yes.
She says,
the hairy thing.
Yeah, get ready. This is going to be a hairy turn. And I was just
it's a little on the nose.
Yeah. But I really appreciated that about Megan. And to what you were saying, I do feel like near the end of the movie, she was more scared.
I think once we got to the camp, and I think once she was more in the situations with Jason and the kids, I think it was more a little more fitting. But I think that, and maybe it was just her character. Maybe she didn't get enough excitement because her dad was the sheriff, and that was the way she just chose to play it. So when Tommy came around, that was that was just like her excitement. Like she was just horny for Tommy. Totally fine. Like, I don't know. For me, it was just, I felt like it was a little much. But I'm a gay man.
I loved it. And I will say, to your point, though, I do think there's a difference between her believing Tommy and just taking him for his word that he's not killing people, but somebody else is. And then actually seeing evidence of that. You know, like the moment she walks in, and it's one of my favorite moments when she opens the cabin door and it's just full of blood and viscera.
I think that's a good moment too.
It becomes real for her. But even then, you know, Jason almost kills her. But at the same time, she's protective over the kids. She's strong for them. And then at the very end, when it's very possible that Tommy dies while also, quote unquote, killing Jason, she jumps in the water and saves Tommy. And she's the one that uses the propeller on the back of the boat to whatever happens to Jason's head. I still don't know for real. It's such a weird moment, right?
None of it makes any sense. Like none of whatever. It's like the Chucky movies. Like we always destroy this thing, but like it's never whatever happens to it at the beginning of the next film. No.
But I'm still wondering what exactly happened because, you know, Jason's chained to the bottom of the lake. We know that.
Yeah.
Then when she's trying to save Tommy, she moves the propeller and it's digging into Jason. But then suddenly there's like a crack and his head like jerks to the side and he's out, you know, and she's able to get away. So like, was his neck breaking? I just don't know what happens at that moment.
Well, I feel like I mean, it was going into his neck, right? The blade itself was like tearing his neck apart. So I feel like that's what should have essentially killed him if he was killable. But when they showed his body at the end of the film, like it didn't really look like much had been done to his throat. So I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
So let me ask you this, Stanley. And if your answer to this question is any of the movies past this one, don't spoil them. But I was going to ask you, and everybody listening, we may spoil the ends of the previous Friday the 13th movies, 1 through 5. So if you haven't seen those, tread carefully because we're going to talk about the end of these movies. Do you think this is the most iconic ending to one of the Friday the 13th movies?
Okay, let me recanter so...
And the ones that you're able to think of are going to be the ones that are most iconic, the ones that immediately jump into your mind.
Because I think number 3 is my favorite out of...
That's your favorite?
I think, out of the whole slew, I think part 3 has my favorite ending.
Machete in the head and hanging.
Yes, but then like the sequence with her seeing him in the barn and then him looking at her, like that whole thing like really, really stuck with me for some reason.
Interesting.
I'm not sure why.
I just think...
Go ahead.
I think number 1 is probably the most iconic in a way, just because it's the thing with his mom and then him jumping
are we talking
out of
about just like like him being killed, like Jason
the final
being killed?
death? Yeah, the final death.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say either this one, 4 with Corey Feldman.
Okay.
Or number 1.
I would probably say 4 in that case, because 4 is brutal. 4 is really brutal, and I feel like that
it is brutal.
Yeah,
and the whole die.
Yeah, and I feel like that like just speaks so much volume on the 80s in general and Corey Feldman.
I do definitely think that Jason chained to the bottom of the lake is a very iconic image.
It really is, actually, and just like and it's weird that it like kind of ends in daylight. I feel like that it ends. So many of them end in daylight, in broad daylight.
But it's my favorite thing, Stanley. I've talked about this on the podcast so many times, how I love when a majority of a movie takes place over the course of a night, and then at the end of the movie, you have the sun coming up and it's the next morning. The aftermath is there, but you know, whoever is left has survived, and now they're there to, I don't know, face the next day. So,
yeah, uncertainty. But still, yeah, no, I get it.
I love that about a lot of these movies, but I don't know. I was just wondering which ones you thought were most iconic.
Yeah, I would say that four is probably the most for me. But I can see I can see the imagery of this one being really haunting as well.
Yeah.
And the music too. I think that the music is a big benefiting factor for a majority of these movies, because I know that Henry Manfredini does all but I think one, right? Is it seven? Seven is the only one that he doesn't do?
No, I think he did. Oh, actually, I'm not sure about 7. I know for a fact he didn't do 8.
Oh, maybe it was 8 that he didn't do. No, I think maybe it was 7 and 8.
Let me look up Harry Manfredini real quick.
But the music in this one's great.
Okay, so I just looked it up. 8 is the only one he didn't do of the original 10.
Oh, he did 7.
Yeah, he did 7.
That's nuts. Okay, so and you have 8 on vinyl, don't you?
I do. I
love it.
And I'll be honest, I don't love the whole score because the guy definitely, I forget his name, he was definitely trying to depart himself from Harry Manfredini a little bit.
Oh, no.
So, but I just love that soundtrack because of the song at the beginning of that movie. But we're going to talk about 8 in a couple years or something.
In 2027.
whenever 2 Friday the 13th from now. This is the only Friday the 13th in this year. So,
gosh, isn't that wild?
We're not doing part 7 until 2026, everybody.
Can't believe it.
That's another thing, though. You bring up the music, which I love that you brought this up.
It's good.
The other thing that I'm appreciating by watching the movies the way we do and really focusing on each movie, in the past, I've always felt like all of the scores kind of sounded the same,
Yeah.
But I'm starting to hear the differences in the movies, and I'm starting to appreciate the different themes. Like, sure, they have the same kind of feel to them. Friday the 13th Part 5 has its own theme that Harry wrote just for that movie. 6 has a different feeling from the others, even though it's got some of the same themes. The only one that I would say is really just like the others is Friday the 13th Part 4, and that's because a lot of that is literally recycled from the other scores.
Yeah, I feel like they had a purpose for that because they were trying to emulate everything to bring it to a close.
Yeah, I mean, he wrote some original score for a couple of scenes, but for a lot of the scenes, he just took pieces of his scores from part 1 and 2 and stuff, so, but yeah, I do like the music.
Yeah, the way that it closes, and I don't really tend to stick around for credits and stuff like that, but I had let this movie play all the way through the other night when I had finished it on Blu-ray, and I was just
yeah,
it's good. Yeah, the music's good.
How about Tony Goldwyn in his very first feature film?
Oh my gosh, I think he is just so handsome, so handsome. One of the original '80s nepo babies. We love him, and he's a good actor.
Did you think he was handsome in Ghost?
Of course. I loved Ghost. Ghost is probably one of the original gay calling cards for me. But
he was such a bad guy, though.
It's the worst, but I mean that probably made him 10 times more hot for weird 6-year-old Stanny. Stealing all your money and stealing your girl too.
The kids in the cabin.
Oh my gosh, I was horrified for these poor children. I remember when I was little, I just wanted to be in a Children of the Corn film so bad, and it was my mom let me do a lot, but that was one thing she wouldn't let me do. You can never be in a horror film. I will never let you. You will be traumatized. And I mean, here I am. I've been through a lot, and I've been traumatized by so many other things. So she probably should have just let me be in a horror film. But I cannot believe the things that it looks like that these kids probably saw. The 80s were a different time. I'm sure this movie was filmed in a different way. But I
remember
hope
people actually found Jason scary back then. So
yeah,
for a little girl to be in a movie and have this guy towering over her with the hockey mask.
Even when I was watching it more recently, that part to me, I was just I mean, RTV's big. That part's creepy. That part's creepy. I can see how a young kid would find Jason scary even now, Because that part, just like in the way that he's like kind of like leering over her and getting closer, and that poor girl is put through the ringer. Little Nancy is put through the ringer in this movie because she's the only one who encounters him, and it's like it just escalates each time. She like sees a shadow, and then she sees like him walking like past the door, and then she's like holding his machete over one of the council. Oh God, this poor girl! Like I couldn't get over it.
I actually wondered, because this movie came out in '86. I wondered if her name was an homage to Nightmare on Elm Street, and especially because of the fact that she's talking about somebody being there and they're saying it's just a dream, and I'm like, interesting. But McLoughlin didn't say anything
behind it. Well, it would have been really fun if they referred to him as a boogeyman instead of a monster, because they made a really good point to call him a monster. She saw a monster.
Yeah,
I liked all the like how much they incorporated the children, because this is, to my knowledge, the first one to like make the children a central driving force. Like once the kids pile into that camp, like they make it a point to give a lot of those kids some lines, and like when you start feeling like kids are in danger, it kind of gives the movie a turning point. I don't know, like you don't really want to put kids and animals in danger.
That's true, but I will admit I never once thought the kids were in danger, because
that Nancy kid, I there were a couple times where I was like, I don't know, but I mean, for a person first watching this, I feel like they might think otherwise.
Yeah, and I think back in the 80s, it was still pretty taboo to kill children, so I don't think that they would do that, like at least on camera or in this situation. But I did really love the comedy of some of the kids, and
I did
too. Like the one girl goes to bed reading No Exit by Jean-Paul Sartre.
I laughed out loud. That was great.
That was hilarious. And here's the other thing. We've obviously seen Dead Meat's videos and the kill count videos.
Scotty, I'm so glad you said this, because I actually thought this. I was wondering if that's where they got their name.
I don't know if this is where James got the name Dead Meat, but their intro uses a bunch of samples from different movies of different characters saying Dead Meat, because Dick, what's his name in Chopping Mall? He says, you dead meat.
Yeah.
But then I have seen that intro so many times, and I had not seen these movies enough to the point where I recognized that the two kids under the bed in that intro, and the one kid saying, we're dead meat.
I promise. Go. Lie down. Stay there.
What do you think?
I think we're dead meat.
And I didn't know that it was from this movie. And then I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, oh my God, it's the two kids.
I love it.
Instead of watching Dead Meat and going, oh, it's the two kids from Friday the 13th, Part 6, I watched Friday the 13th, Part 6, and I said, oh, it's the two kids from Dead Meat.
That's awesome.
So, James, if you ever hear this, that's what you've done. You've become more famous than Friday the 13th.
That's actually really cool. That's really cool.
But I also love those kids, because a little bit later they're under the bed, and the one kid's like, so what were you going to be before you die?
The face that he gives him, the way he just looks at him. He reminded me of the kid from the Ghostbusters movies, Ivan Reitman's kid.
Oh, my God, yes.
He just reminded me of him so much.
Those two kids were brothers in real life.
Okay, I can see that. I love that. I love good casting. Good casting.
I also loved Cunningham Road.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, I think one of the cops is talking during the chase scene, and he's like, "I saw them going down Cunningham Road," and I was like, that's clever."
Did you think that anybody in this movie just looked like anybody else? I was like getting doppelganger vibes from like half the cast. I thought that the girl who played, I think her name was, what was her name? Was it Sissy? I think Sissy looked exactly like Thandie Newton. And then I thought that the guy in the opening with Tommy looked like Steve Guttenberg. I thought that...
Okay, Stanley, hang on.
Yeah.
Pause, because you're a little bit younger than me.
Yeah.
You may not remember a show back in the 70s called Welcome Back, Kotter.
I know the name.
It starred John Travolta, but there was also a character named Horshack, and he was played by Ron Palillo. I think his name is Palillo. I think that's how you pronounce it. but Ron Palillo is the guy that plays Alan. And so as soon as I see it, because I'm freaking old, I'm like, oh, hey, it's Horshack from Welcome
awesome.
Back, Kotter. Yeah,
That's Steve Guttenberg's identical twin.
There you go.
I think. And then J.K. Simmons and this Sheriff Garris look exactly alike. The first 15 minutes of him on screen, I was like, I'm not even gonna Google it because that's J.K. Simmons. I don't even have to. And then I Googled it and I was like, that's not J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, I don't think they look the same, but I think their mannerisms are very similar.
There was a lot of it. Yeah. All right.
Another thing I really appreciated was there were some edits in this movie that were perfect. Like, one is, I forget who says it, but somebody's like, he's going to kill me. And then it just immediately cuts to a sign of the Eternal Peace Cemetery.
Oh, I know what you mean. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
There was, go ahead, yeah.
There's, near the end, once Jason throws the knife or the dart into the deputy's head that falls backwards into the boat, like, it immediately cuts to the dartboard on the back of the door.
I love it. Yeah, there was the one where the caretaker was like, oh, they think I'm a fart face. Or do they think I'm a fart face? And then it cuts to the kids, and then they're like, yes! Yeah. It's very funny. It's got a... What? Dude, you're not even barking at anything now. You're just being feisty.
No, he was saying, yeah. He was doing his impression of the kids.
I do sudden movements, and he... God. Sorry. Yeah, no, the edits are fun. And then in these movies, when they do the edits with the gore, it's distracting. Like, I find it a little distracting. I didn't notice it as much in this movie. And I did do the whole DVD thing afterward where I'll go back and I don't do this often because I think it's so irritating because it's so grainy and the quality of the deleted scenes is so it's annoying. But I watched every single one of them, and I can safely say that you're not missing a lot of it. When they take out the gore and specifically this movie, I don't feel like we're missing all that much. The gore in this movie is outstanding. The effects by this Martin Becker, I think his name was Martin Beaker. I had it written down. I can't find it. But the effects in this movie are really, really good.
Yeah, I watched them too. And I think in this movie's case, I feel like they just had to cut seconds off of some of the kills. Like, if Jason is... Like, when he bends the sheriff's back over.
Oh, I love it.
He still bends it over in the movie, but they cut it, just a little bit shorter so that you're not lingering on it quite as long, and somehow that makes it an R instead of an unrated movie,
Yeah.
And it's just... McLoughlin mentioned it himself in the commentary. He's like, it's crazy because movies that are made today are 10 times as gory as these movies.
Unreal.
So it's amazing what the MPAA, I guess, what they eventually started allowing into movies and allowing to be rated R.
I don't even think they look anymore. I don't even think there is a Motion Picture Association of America anymore.
I mean, they still rate movies, and there's still unrated movies, so... But yeah, I mean, any slashers are way more gory than Friday the 13th. And so I'm really excited for them to do a new Friday the 13th with some of the leeway that they would have today.
I wonder what the TV series is going to be like.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I have a few behind the scenes tidbits. I probably got most of them, but Tom Fridley, your favorite, who plays Court.
Yeah.
He's actually a cousin of John Travolta.
They look very, very similar. They got the eyes. They got the whole shape of the face. Have I told you my John Travolta story?
Maybe.
Yeah, he's a customer of mine. The end. He's got the softest hands in the world. Yeah.
Oh,
they have very similar facial structures. I can see it. Yeah. Interesting.
There is something that you can see in the movie. The woman who is with Tony Goldwyn in the car. That
his
is
mother.
No, that is Tom McLaughlin's wife.
I love that.
There is the moment where Jason is supposed to shoot the spear through the window, right? Through the windshield. She ducks down to the right. Well, if you watch, evidently your good friend CJ Graham was in the military at one time, and he's got like training. And if you watch, it was kind of scary because he kind of ended up following her movement with the spear. So if you watch the camera angle, the spear doesn't go right into the driver's seat like it's supposed to. It kind of follows her and goes off to the side. And he came very close to spearing her.
Yeah, he's like a towering guy too. Like there was moments in the movie where because I had seen like the Crystal Lake memories or whatnot back when it first came out years ago, and I had seen interviews where they were like, oh, he was like 6 foot gazillion and weighed like 200 some odd pounds. Like he's a big guy. So I can imagine that being really scary. Like I can imagine him with a mask on. Like there were moments, like especially at the beginning of the movie, before he even had the mask on, where he like kind of reminded me of like a Lucio Fulci, like corpse looking to get like. I was wondering like if they didn't even have the mask on for like a portion of the movie, if that would have been scarier. Like there were some makeup effects going on at the beginning of the movie that were really like really spooky and scary. Anyway, I always wonder like about the process and how terrible it must be for these actors to go through that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and for the director to see his wife almost get killed by...
Oh, gosh. And that was another one that was edited out as well, and only maybe like 7 seconds, 5 seconds or something.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
To be clear, she got stabbed in the face? Did like that get...
through the
is that
face.
what happened? Okay.
And I think there was just like a little bit less length to that scene and maybe a little more blood bubbling up in the water, but nothing that I could really tell. But...
yeah.
In the woods, I think it's the paintball people. McLoughlin wanted the woods to look dark. He didn't want them to look very inviting. So if you notice, a lot of the woods are dark and spray painted black.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's actually, I didn't notice until he mentioned it. And then the last one I have is just a little one. The lake stuff at the end of the movie. A lot of the stuff that you see on the outside was shot in a pool at USC.
Okay.
And then a lot of the underwater stuff was shot at the director's parents' pool, at Tom McLaughlin's parents' pool.
Movie making is so wild. Like the way that they make things, like, and especially when you're a kid and you're watching this stuff, and like I'm gonna be 40 soon, you know what I mean? Like, and like watching a movie now, like it's so fantastic how your mind just like can play tricks on you. Like I'm watching this stuff now, thinking like, how do they film in lakes? Like, how do they get these people to the bottom of Crystal Lake? And how, you know what I mean? Like, it's insane. It's so nuts. And a pool. In
his
Malibu.
parents' pool. Yeah.
That's wild.
So that's about all I have. Are you ready for 3 questions?
I can handle 3 questions, I think.
Okay, because these are really good when it comes to the Friday the 13th movies, especially...
Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3.
Question number 1, Stanley.
Hit me. Let's do it.
What did you think was the best kill or death in Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives?
God, I had 3, and I'm going to narrow it down to 1.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say it would be Sissy.
Sissy, really?
Sissy, yeah. I think
Why?
that neck snap turn. Well, first off, it scared me. So when he pulled her out of that window, like it was a good jump scare. And I love her slippers falling to the ground like that. I think it just made me laugh. So like the combination of getting scared and laughing. And then I thought that was going to be it because I'm so used to watching Friday the 13th Part 7 and having everything be off screen. Like, cause that's like a notorious like butchered movie. So I did not expect the head to be completely turned around and then have her eyes like flutter up like that. Like her eyes like go up and go white. And that was like, oh shit. Like that like really got me. So it was either that or Nikki, like the face in the RV. Like so those were the 2 for me. But I think Sissy would be it for me.
Okay. I'm going to go with Sheriff Garris.
Yeah, that would have been my 3rd, man. Yes.
I do love the body bending over backwards. Strangely enough, one good runner-up for me is a kill that I think is kind of lame at first, which is Jason crushing the head of the deputy.
The aftermath, though.
Yeah, the aftermath. The fact that they put all the snot and stuff coming out of his nose and
And
was
Sheriff
gross.
Garris like wiping it off his face when he gets. Oh man, it's bad.
I mean, to me, that's the part that maybe turns my stomach the most.
It's a brutal movie.
Yeah, I think the effect of Sheriff Garris is the best for me, though.
Yeah.
Number 2, do you think this movie is scary?
I don't, but I think it's a lot of fun. I think there are some tense moments. I think that all these movies have like a couple little tense moments here and there that are like noteworthy, and like they're good gateway movies for, you know, the young folk. But they're not scary. They're not scary.
I will say this. I agree with you, but you know, when I watch these movies, I always try to imagine how people in the 80s could be scared of these movies. I think this is maybe the first Friday the 13th where I could actually see some of the scenes being scary. You know, like especially the scene with I think it's Paula in the cabin with the kids, and Paula's like leaning down with the little girl, and when she stands up, Jason's just standing right there outside the window.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of terrifying.
Oh yeah.
And then Jason follows her along the windows just watching her. Now that's pretty scary, because if somebody actually did that, that would be terrifying.
I agree.
I think I could finally see it. I don't know if I'll feel the same with part 7 and part 8 and 9 and 10, but I think this might be the scariest, in my opinion, of all of the... Well, I don't know. Part 2 was actually probably scary too.
Oh, I think part 2 is a really good one. I think that's a really good entry. But no, I think I know what you mean, though. And I think that there are certain scenarios, sure. Like, I think, like, you know, now I have, like, a little bit more to, like, relate to in the sense of, like, I'm forever camping. So, like, I'm, like, I have, like, more of a relatable Jason experience, like, looming over me. Like 24/7.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I open my door and here we are. Like I don't know. So like I know what you mean, and I never really thought about that. Well, like I think camping movies, like while Friday the 13th is essentially a camping film, like if you put yourself in that, like if you're watching the Blair Witch Project and you put yourself in that scenario, like that's really scary. But I never thought about like Friday the 13th. Like you never really consider like a mass murderer as opposed to like something else. I don't know, but like that's food for thought. It really is. It's scary. It really is scary.
Yeah, I think in the most part these movies are a little bit too 80s and cheesy to be able to put myself in those places, but there are a few scenes where I'm just like, yeah, that would be pretty scary.
But if you think about it though, if someone was to tell you like, hey, like I was at a camp like when I was in high school and some guy in a mask showed up and just started killing all my friends, like if someone told you that, like, would you think that
I'd
that
be
was
like,
scary?
yeah, I saw that movie.
Yeah, like, or like it would be like the most terrifying thing you ever heard. Like one or the other.
Question number 3, Stanley.
Oh yeah.
Did you have fun with horror?
I did. I had a really good time actually. This was a really, and Sheriff had a good time with horror too. But look, dude, this is what's happening. She came to meet you. She like knew that this was happening, and she was like, "I have to come up and say hi to Scotty."
I don't know if anybody's going to be able to hear that, but she's like sniffing and licking the microphone, and you own my favorite pug in the world.
She like jumped up, man. I'm sorry about the interruption.
That's okay. No, it's not an interruption. We can never be interrupted by an adorable pug such as Mina.
She's like climbing all over my life right now. Yeah, man, I had a great time with horror. I always do. I love you, and I have fun with you every moment I see you.
Awesome. I love you too. And that was Jason Lives.
It was.
And
Jason Lives.
by the way, I had fun with horror too.
Oh my God! Of course, that's what's important.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a good ending.
Jason lived.
I was just kidding, Elizabeth.
Darren, we better turn around.
Why?
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Well, Stanley, I got to say that, you know, we never censor our guests, and unfortunately, you weren't perfectly wholesome in this podcast.
On the most wholesome podcast that's out there. I was trying to verse myself too beforehand because I'm a swearer, and I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay. I love that you tried, but it came out anyway.
It did. Thank you for being so tolerant.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
You know we love you.
I do.
Andrew loves you too.
I know that.
As our listeners probably already know, our next episode coming up in, I think, a week and a half, 2 Tuesdays from now, is John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. But as for today, Stanley, I just want to say thank you so much for coming back and being on this episode with me.
Sometimes they come back.
Oh, Stephen King.
Did you like that?
I loved it.
That was good.
Perfect. We do have an episode that we keep threatening to record for people with Pet Cemetery Bloodlines.
Oh, speaking of Stephen King, loosely, Stephen King.
I was gonna say that we won't be meeting again until next year, but let's try and make Pet Cemetery Bloodlines happen.
We can make that one happen for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Because we've done all the rest. We need to do this one too.
We got to close it out with a bang.
There you go.
Man.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for listening to Stanley. And especially, thank you for being here and listening to Sheriff and Mina, Stanley's dogs.
That's why you guys came.
Yeah,
let's be real.
That's exactly it.
Let's be real.
All right, everybody. Happy Friday the 13th. We love you. Stanley, I love you.
I love you, dude. Thank you, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dig him up. Does he think I'm a farthead? Yeah!